Browns lose to the Bengals 21-14. They fall to 1-6, but the biggest storyline, of course, is Deshaun Watson, who suffered a torn Achilles. His season is done, and now everyone is asking, where do we go from here? Let's just start with the rest of the season, and then we'll start to talk a little bit more long-term. For the rest of the year, I think you go with Jameis Winston. Why he wasn't the backup to begin with, I'm not entirely sure. But I thought in that 3-minute run he had, we saw more from him in the offense than we had for all 2 quarters and change DTR was in charge. So I'm content to roll with Jameis Winston the rest of the way, see what happens, win a couple of games, hopefully, maybe not. But I think it's Jameis for the rest of the season. Just like last year, Watson goes down around this point-ish, a little bit later in November, and you put together a hodgepodge of different quarterbacks. It's probably going to be a little bit of a mixture of that as well. But that's what you do for the rest of this year. Long term now, which everyone is kind of wondering, where do the Browns go from here? Second straight year, Deshaun Watson season-ending injury. My gut tells me that the way Watson played in the second half against the Eagles last week, and then up until he got injured this week, is enough for this front office and this coaching staff to feel like we are not going to quit on him. And so I'm thinking and feeling that the plan for long-term and beyond this year is Watson rehabs, and he starts week 1, 2025 if healthy. Kirk Cousins popped his Achilles last year right around this time, and he started week 1 for the Atlanta Falcons. So as long as Watson is healthy and on this roster, I think he is still going to be this team's starting quarterback for next year. Before he went down, he was 15-17, 128 yards. If you combine what he was able to do from the second half of last week in Philly to the first half of this week against the Bengals, it was the best 4-quarter stretch we had seen from him. Joshua Miller, 26 of 29, as he notes, 254 yards. I think the Browns are going to look at that and go, I know that there was a lot of really tough plays from Watson, or bad plays, missed opportunities throughout the entire season this year, but I think the fan base also saw for the first time what happens when you don't have Watson. The same issues are still present. A lot of dumb penalties, a lot of drops, a lot of pressures and sacks allowed. And sure, Watson was not really overcoming those issues, but those issues did not go away just because Watson was no longer on the field. So my gut tells me Deshaun Watson is still going to be this team's starting quarterback when healthy in 2025. I can only see that changing for one of 2 reasons. Reason number 1, if he retires. The guy tore his ACL in college, ACL with the Texans, broken shoulder last year, Achilles this year. That's a boatload of injuries. He's got a lot of money. Maybe he decides to retire. I don't know. But that's one reason. Reason number 2, if the Browns were to get the number 1 overall draft pick, and maybe someone like Cam Ward really has their attention, and they feel like that is too good of a quarterback prospect for us to pass on. I think that is the only way the Browns bring out a different starting quarterback next year, unless Deshaun Watson is still not healthy, which Kirk Cousins opened up the year as the starter in Atlanta. He tore his Achilles right around the exact same time last year, a little bit later technically. He's older. His body does not recover as quickly as Watson, who is 6-7 years younger. So there's reason to believe that Watson, 10 to 12 months from now, should be ready to roll. But unless the Browns find a quarterback in the draft they really love, and they have a first, second, third overall pick, and they cannot pass on that guy, I think Watson over the last 4 quarters, over 2 games, is going to have the Browns believing, yep, let's run it back with him next year. Do I think it's the best idea? I think it's kind of their only option. I mean, his contract is so huge, and it was clear without him that this team was not any better. So what upgrade do you see there? Right? I don't see an option out there that improves this team without Watson on it. Unless they have the first overall pick and they love a quarterback like Cam Ward. DTR was, tough situation coming in cold off the bench and whatnot, but he wasn't any better. He was worse. What are we talking about? 11 for 24. 88 yards, 2 interceptions. The only good thing DTR did was run the football today. Let's just call it what it was. Jameis Winston, good stuff at the end there. Nice touchdown pass, great catch by Njoku. And then Cedric Tillman, if we're looking for like silver linings, Amari Cooper gone. Tillman, best game of his NFL career. 8 grabs, 81 yards. So hopefully he continues to grow, and him and Jerry Jeudy kind of give you a direction for the future at the wide receiver position. I want to talk about Nick Chubb next on the show, but I do want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor today. It's a new sponsor, and I think you guys will really enjoy what I have to share with you all because you could get some free Browns jerseys out of it, and that is Leaf Filter. We all know Cleveland is built different, and so are their fans. And for those fans, there's only one way to protect their gutters. That is Leaf Filter. An investment in Leaf Filter is an investment engineered to protect your whole home. Clogged gutters aren't just a nuisance. They can cause extensive water damage, and do-it-yourself store-bought solutions may be cheaper up front, but can cost you more in the long run. Leaf Filter has a limited-time offer for Browns fans. Up to 32% off your entire qualified purchase and 2 free official Browns jerseys at leaffilter.com/report. Schedule your free inspection now, and for a limited time, get up to 32% off your entire qualified purchase and 2 free Browns jerseys at leaffilter.com/report. Call today to schedule your free gutter inspection and get a no-obligation free estimate. A Leaf Filter trusted pro will clean out, realign, and seal your gutters before installing Leaf Filter. That's a free inspection, up to 32% off, and 2 free Browns jerseys with a qualified purchase at leaffilter.com/report. Offer valid on a first-come, first-served basis while supplies last. Full terms and conditions can be found at leaffilter.com/report. See representatives for warranty details. Getting back to the offense, and then I want to talk about the defense a little bit here. Nick Chubb did not play in the second half. He didn't look injured to me. I don't know if the Browns just felt like this game was getting out of control anyway. There's no reason to put Chubb in harm's way. If Chubb said, hey, that's kind of it for me today, I'm looking for an update from Stefanski. But overall, you got a touchdown. I can't be wanting a whole lot more than that. 11 carries, 22 yards. He had 2 5-yard runs. Got a feel for this team, though. Back-to-back seasons, losing your starting quarterback. This year, it's not like Watson goes down on a 5-1 team. The season was over anyway, but you still would like to have Watson, either build off of what was 4 good quarters in a row of football, end of Philly last week, open up this week, right? Really starts to get going a little bit. You get Chubb back, and then you lose Watson 2 quarters later. Sucks. I don't understand why this team is the most cursed team. It just blows chunks. That's the only way I can put it without getting flagged on YouTube for saying a lot worse stuff. Overall, the offense today, once again, a lot of self-inflicted wounds, 2 turnovers. Every single time they commit a pre-snap penalty on offense, the drive is over. They are incapable of overcoming an illegal shift, illegal motion, something like that. 1st and 15, might as well punt it because they're not going anywhere. It's October. You guys remember in September, the Cowboys game, all the penalties, Kevin Stefanski saying this is going to be the biggest focal point of practice all week. Here we are in October. They're still present. So for everyone that was begging for Watson to get benched, on one hand, the offense couldn't get 20 points. Might as well see if someone else can come in and provide a spark. But on the much larger other hand, there were so many other issues that were not related to Watson. And I think that was on full display today when he went down, of the drops, Jed Wills sucking, the offensive line giving up pressure. Changing out the quarterback clearly did not really save this team at all. Watson, while sure he was not living up to his contract and everything you gave up to get him, he was not a superstar like you needed him to be. He was also not the biggest problem on this offense. A couple missed opportunities for sure. I get all that. But 1st and 15, every single time it feels like, where are you going? And no ground game again. Defense, I think, played very well. Gave up 14 points. They kept this team in it. And if Watson was healthy, I think this post-game show is going very differently right now, and we're talking about a Browns win, right? If Watson does not get injured, Browns still score a touchdown at the end of the half. It's probably still a missed extra point. It is 7-6, and the Browns defense made stop after stop after stop in the second half, giving their offense the football, who just gave it right back to Cincinnati. So the defense, I think, is somewhat getting back to what we saw last year more of. I mean, Joe Burrow, 15-25, 181 yards, 2 touchdowns. Higgins and Chase definitely have more than just their moments, but I think we can all agree the Browns defense put up a ton of fight today, knowing the offense isn't going to do a whole lot, hasn't done a whole lot, but they didn't quit. They could have folded like a lawn chair. They kept going out there and battling and giving their team a chance every single time. Fortunately, corners just on key moments got burned and beat. Higgins, 25-yard touchdown. Jamar Chase, touchdown. Stinks that the secondary, which is somewhat of the strength of this team, just took their foot off the gas for one split second, and the Bengals are talented enough to make you pay for that with 2 really good receivers like Higgins and Chase. Overall, I think if we're looking beyond this week and just the rest of this year, like I said at the beginning of the video, I think it's going to be the Jameis Winston show. Probably have some level of a quarterback battle throughout practice. Clearly, this team liked DTR coming into this week more. They made him the backup, and they made Jameis the emergency quarterback, which, by the way, maybe DTR got hurt. Okay, maybe not. I think the Browns just wanted him to go to the locker room so they can get a good look at Jameis Winston in at quarterback. My instant reaction and thought is it'll be Jameis starting, and we'll probably see a little bit of DTR here and there, whether it's just another injury or the Browns make a quarterback change. But unless the Browns get the number 1 overall draft pick and they fall in love with the quarterback, my recommendation would be go draft a new left tackle and see if Watson can somehow pick up where he left off when he got injured this year, because the last 4 quarters of Deshaun Watson were accurate, on time, and on schedule. He wasn't playing like a Pro Bowl superstar, but he was playing a whole lot better than he was at the beginning of the season. The frustrating thing is Watson always gets off to slow starts, so even if he does open up next year as the starter, it'll probably look a lot like this year when he opened up the starter, right? Off the shoulder injury, and the first 4 weeks were trash and poor and bad, and the Browns could not overcome that, and they fell all the way to 1-5. So, who do you think the Browns should start next week? They have the Ravens coming to town, right? I think that's it. Their second of their 3 straight home games here. Yeah, that's not going to be fun. DTR or Jameis Winston? I would go with Jameis Winston. He looked a whole lot better to me today than DTR did. But let me know what you think in the comment section. The argument for DTR is maybe he could be your long-term play at quarterback, right? Kind of test him out a little bit in what's a lost season anyway, and discover if DTR could maybe be your answer to the quarterback position. I think at this point we should have a pretty good idea as to who DTR is as a quarterback. I don't think he's a starting franchise QB. So I would just go with the better option of Jameis. That's going to do it for us on today's post-game show. It sucks. Right when Watson gets going, it all comes crumbling down. I feel for the guy. I wish him a quick and speedy recovery. I'm not going to entertain the people that are rooting for this at all. You're slimy and crummy for that. Popping an Achilles sucks. So hopefully Watson can make a full recovery, and we'll see what happens beyond this season. But for now, it's probably the Jameis show, and we'll see what the draft brings us.